Do you like getting older? Do you know of anyone who likes getting older? Well, I do. It's my great-nephew, Sammy. He's 4. He and his big sister, Maya, who is 6, are so smart and so excited about getting older that they think in fractions. When you ask Sammy how old he is, he says, "I'm 4 and a half." Maya is 6 3/4. My nephew, their father, would never say he was 33 in anything. You're never 33 in anything more. Isn't that true? But when you're younger, you want to be older. I remember when I was Sammy's age, it was Memorial Day and our preschool teacher was talking to us all about patriotism, and she started by saying, "We live in a great country, and one of the things that we should be especially happy about living in this country is that we're all free." I can still see it now. My best friend Jimmy ran up to the front of the room and he started pulling on the teacher's skirt, and with his saucer eyes he said, "Oh, Miss Molly, I'm not free. I'm 4." I read an article recently by George Carlin, and it made me think about how I, and perhaps you also, think about our age at different times in our lives. So let me give you some examples. One gorgeous summer day in upstate New York, my father took me with him to the racetrack, a place he liked to frequent, and my mother didn't like to go, so I was his date that day. We're in Saratoga, and at the entrance to the racetrack, and the guy at the gate asked my dad, "How old is she?" "She's 18. He lied. The ticket collector looked annoyed and said again, "How old?" My dad answered, "She's gonna be 18. So I was 12, but this time he didn't lie. I was true. I was gonna be 18 someday. He finally, after many questions of how old is she, he finally told the man I was 12, but that he had come a long way, and my father had quite a gift of persuasion, so the man let me in. I was so proud that I got to add 6 years to my life that day. But I do that now? Not on your life. Before I went off into a convent at 17, I often upgraded my age by a number or 2. Example, when I was 16, I decided to explore what it would be like to be 18, and I had an ID created, and I used it regularly without getting caught for at least 2 years, and it got me into places that I won't talk about here today. I don't want to spoil my good girl image. And then it was the day I became 21. You just don't get to be 21, you become 21. You remember that day in your life? You know, back in the 1970s, that meant you first got the right to vote. It was a happening. Somebody cared about my opinion, and in a world where I had continually be told to be seen and not heard, that was a big deal. Before I knew it was happening, I turned 30. Notice, I wasn't becoming anymore. We turned 30. No wonder people have midlife crises. I remember my high school students whispering to each other, "She turned 30," like something sinister had happened. It sounded like milk has spoiled. Better throw her out. She's turned. No fun anymore. What's wrong with this picture? You become 21, you turn 30, and then you're pushing 40. I think the best 10 years of my life were the ones between 39 and 40. Today, this is the beginning of the age of the people I do most of my work with, and many of them come to me because they think that life has begun to put on the brakes, and they see their lives slipping away. They're afraid that before they know it, they will reach 50, and then all their dreams will be gone. Victor Hugo once said, 40 is the old age of youth, 50 the youth of old age. The good thing about reaching 50, at least you're now too old to die young. So you become 21, turn 30, push 40, reach 50, and if you're lucky and eat right and exercise, you make it to 60. You know, I knew I was 60 when I walked into an antique shop and heard myself saying, I remember these. It was scary. That's really all I know from personal experience. I'm not really over 60, folks. It's just that I'm 18 with 42 more years of experience. And almost every day lately, I hear of another friend who, unlike our slow drivers here in Sarasota, built up so much speed that they actually hit 70. By the way, the elderly don't drive that badly. They're just the only ones with enough time in the day to actually drive the speed limit. My 70-year-old cousin recently gave me some sage advice. Don't regret growing older, he said. It's a privilege denied to many. When my dad got into the 80s, he used to say to me that old age was anything 15 years older than he was at the time. And when you're in your 90s, you start going backwards. When I asked my mom recently how old she said, I was just 92. She doesn't look a day over 70, and she's more alive than I remember her at that age. I believe it was Goethe who said, it's not that age brings childhood back again. Age merely shows what children we remain. That's a strange thing that happens. If you make it over 100, you become a little kid again. Last week, I actually heard my mom's best friend saying to everyone, I'm 101 and a half. At this point in time, aging seems to be the only available way to live a long life. The next time someone asks you if you like getting old, remember what Muhammad Ali once said, I don't count the days. I make the days count.